Hi everyone, this is Mary Long, and today we're going to have a video chat with Bobbie Puttrich. Bobbie is a member of the Plein Painters Chicago and somebody who I admire in their painting. We've painted side by side at times. And today, Bobbie, I'm really looking forward to learning more about you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Bobbie, what I think we want to do is just learn about you and kind of what brought you to painting. How did you get here?
I think, well, observing from my children, they started painting when they were very young toddlers, and I did the same. I actually put a paintbrush in my newborn's hand and put a piece of paper in front of it. And, I always remember painting. And then my parents, I guess because I was drawing and painting, they encouraged me because I was progressing. I studied with local teacher. Went to in high school. I had a wonderful high school art teacher, John Yeagle, and then the American Academy of Art, a little bit at the Art Institute. And then I took a lot of workshops from people I admire so much. And they all, every person had something, brought something that I used.
Are there some that are standouts for you?
Well, Marcia Burt is probably my favorite artist today. She lives in California, and she's brilliant. She uses acrylic, and she paints California landscapes, and she does it to. She belongs to a group, and I can't remember the name of it. It used to be Scape, but now it's something else. They have a group of painters who bring attention to land that is going to be destroyed or turned into condos, and they've had success and saved beautiful tracts of land on the coast. And her paintings are stunning. And she's the only one, she's very unique. She's the only one who can paint like that. It's Marcia Burtt. And Eugene Haw was my instructor at the American Academy of Art, who came from the lineage of Ilya Repin in Moscow. And he was at an age where he decided that he wanted to pass on everything he knew, which is what happens, I think, at some point to some people. So that, I guess, just the desire to express myself and create, because I was very shy and loved the world around me. I love the sky. I mean, I'm still painting the sky and the grass and the dandelions, but I also love to paint people and animals and things.
Talk a little bit more about what is it that you paint. I can see in the background you've got some still lifes and some landscapes. And what exactly is your body of work?
Well, still lifes, landscapes, anything. This relates to another subject, but I think we should look for anything that excites us and really motivates us and gives us a thrill to think about painting, because without that energy, it doesn't work. You're just kind of like typing or something. But yeah, I do. I love floral. I like outdoor floral. I paint at the Botanic Garden in Chicago, and big scenes. There's a bird that you were present for that one, and portraits and interiors, just anything that sparks my, interest.
And I love the clouds back there.
Thank you. For a while, I was only painting clouds, and I might just do that. It makes me so happy.
Yeah. I met you at my very first workshop. And I don't know if you remember that, but it was Thomas Schaller's workshop up in Madeline Island School of Art. And that was one of the things he said that he had done, that he spent an entire summer only doing clouds. Yeah. And I just found that fascinating, and also realizing now how important that is when you do paint landscapes. And yours are beautiful back there.
Oh, thank you. I need to focus on trees more. I was just looking at them, and I realized I need to focus and sharpen up my trees.
Yeah. How do you think about how do you approach a painting?
Well, I look around, I try to find something that makes me thrilled to look at and think about painting. And I usually paint in oils, although I also use pastels. And it needs to be something that's going to sustain that interest all the way through, which doesn't always happen. Sometimes you get discouraged, but you have to, turn around, walk away, take a coffee break and or whatever, and try again. And then sometimes you just start over, try to another canvas or another subject. But I that's how I usually put down a wash, a transparent wash, and then go in and get let that dry. I use a gel kit and Gamsol mix, and then I let that dry slightly and go in with a little bit thicker Gamsol and gel kit mix for shapes. And then if I have trees, I paint in those a little darker, the trunks, and then go from there, adding detail, adding more texture, more depth. But it's nice to sometimes, if you can, wind up with some transparent paint on the canvas. It's a little hard to know when to stop, and that is often dictated by the light. You're outside, you have 2 hours to paint pretty much before the light changes, and you can go back the next day under similar conditions like Monet did. He did all of those canvases with a cart full of, he did all those paintings with a cart full of canvases, and he would go throughout the day and change the painting for the light, so he was, you can do that. And inside, I paint. I'm finished when I don't think there's anything that can improve it. I can't think of what else to paint, and then I put it aside for a while where I can view it, like when I'm watching TV or just eating or whatever. And then after a few weeks, sometimes something comes to you about what it really needs.
Yeah.
If I'm not completely satisfied with it. I have a lot of those.
Yeah, I understand.
Notes on them.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And so, do you have any favorite tools that you use when you're painting?
Well, I have. I love painting on oil primed canvas. The paint just, it could be oil primed linen or oil primed canvas. I use it on a board because of storage space constraints. The stretch canvases take up a lot more room, so we started using boards. And I love the old flat brushes that become filberts. I don't know if you can see that. It becomes round and like a cat's paw after much use, and that's the best. Also, I like bristle brushes. Here's another old soft bristle brush, which is wonderful. But I like the soft rosemary brushes and so many, the cheap, I can't remember brands, but the soft brushes for smoothing edges or, just going around an edge. And I've also started, thanks to Mary Kahn, using little pieces of fabric or little torn piece of paper towel to soften the edges to make things go around and edges turns, because sometimes you want to have a sharp edge to bring attention to some things, but you don't want to have sharp edges that are detracting. You don't want, from what you're trying to say. So I just patting, and she does it wonderfully.
And who is that does that?
Mary Kahn at the Palette and Chisel, and she's in a gallery in Denver. Also, see if I can think of some of my other favorite painting. Well, Clayton Beck reminds me a lot of Eugene Hall in his painting style. Steve Puttrich, my husband.
Yeah.
Valerie Stanizek and so many.
Yeah. I'm kind of taken with the fact that you have these very old brushes that look very clean. How do you clean your brushes?
Well, this is good for, this is, I don't know if would be approved by Gamblin or Utrecht, but I soaked them in a little bit of Murphy's oil soap, and the paint just loosens up overnight. You have to try to be careful not to crush them, like sort of make them stand up with a rubber band or whatever you can. And then the paint just rinses off in the morning. And that's why they're soft too. It softens the bristle brushes. And
Nice.
also when you're out, you have to have a can for cleaning them and wiping them. Well, you wipe first when you're painting and then you clean. But for wiping them when you're done painting so that you're not taking gooey brushes and then forgetting about them, So clean up your brushes the best you can on the spot when you're playing your painting.
Yeah, yeah, good. How much of your work is in the studio and plein air painting?
Well, this is a studio painting, the Big Cloud. It was originally a plein air sketch. When I do plein air painting, I try to, unless there's something that's really obviously that needs to be changed, I put them up and see. I try to go back to the spot or just do a little bit, or go paint it again. So I try to keep it to a minimum,
Mhm.
and it's not really plein air painting if it's painted inside. It's a studio painting
Yeah.
or a combination, unless it's just a little touching up, if it starts raining. And I've come up with some good paintings that it was out in the field and something called the Fields Project, painting a farm, and
Hmm.
we could see the cloud coming. I had it mostly started in washes, and then I went up in our host's attic and finished it. And because it was more from memory, it was much freer,
Yeah.
a different style.
Well, that sounds really cool and a great way to do it. And it makes sense to me that can still be plein air, and I think that makes all the kinds of sense.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think there's any rules, I don't, but I guess some people believe that plein air should be strictly plein air, but I'm sure that there's always some little touch up you can do. You could stand outside and do it if you want.
For I think for competitions, and if you were, I suppose, being published somewhere that was only plein air, but other than that, I think it's about, at least for my sense of it, it's about a good painting. And so whether you use a painting
Right.
or a sketch for something else, a reference, or if you're using it just finished, however, but I think for each of us, we have to make that decision on each one.
Right.
Yeah. So is there any advice that you have for painters?
Let's see. I guess paint as much as you can, and something that I was taught by Eugene Hall is, um, keep creating, is what all he would say. Keep painting at the end of every day and go slow. And then he would what a very important thing is that you have to not paint and only look at your canvas. You have to look at your subject, find a stroke, and put it on your canvas. Look back again, find another stroke, and put it on your canvas. If you consistently do that, you'll build something that's, you know, real and beautiful. If you're trying to mix the right colors too, that's part of the process. So, but paint, look and paint and look and paint and look and paint throughout the whole painting.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And actually, I think it keeps us then from just doing that scrubbing in that then makes things muddy, or so that
Yeah.
sounds like a really good plan.
It's kind of a discipline you have to keep on. I forget sometimes, and I need to remind myself. But it really makes a difference.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. What do you have coming up on your calendar? What's new?
Well, we have Cedarburg, Wisconsin, plein air event, June 1 to 8. and Sonoma,
Oh,
June 11 to 18. Dexter, Michigan, August 12th to 17th. Door County, I'll be painting there, and Steve will be teaching September 4th to 7th. The Northbrook, I believe in September, but I don't have the date. A Northbrook plein air event, and then a Barrington plein air event October 7th through 12th.
wow. What a full schedule.
Yeah, I try to keep my tasks to small bits in my head, a little bit here, a little bit there, and get things done that way.
Yeah, that's great. Well, you have both Midwest, but also it's California. That's very exciting.
Yes, it is. It is. And I was just out there visiting my daughter during the poppy blooming time, which I encourage everyone to do. North of Santa Clarita, there's a poppy preserve that always has blooming poppies in April. So I didn't paint. I just enjoyed the time there with my daughter and took pictures, and there's paths to walk through. If you have a chance, go.
Yeah, that sounds great. And I hope you have pictures that you might use as references.
I do, but it's all just fields of poppies where I was taking pictures of. So, I wish I'd had more trees and bushes and things.
Yeah, you're going to depend on clouds.
Clouds, there you go.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And Dexter, Michigan is great too. It's kind of hilly, and I know that area. That's great.
That's
So
the first
I
time.
think, yeah, yeah. All right, Bobbie. Well, I really appreciate getting to know you a little bit more. You know, one of the things I do want to ask you before we go is I think that I've seen you post Etsy uh, uh, submissions. Have you started an Etsy?
I've just started posting on Etsy and cross promoting on Facebook and um, Twitter, and what's the other one? Well,
Yeah.
Instagram. And so I'm still learning, but yes, I do have a Facebook page called Bobbie Puttrich Studio, or yes.
Uh-huh.
And as I said, I'm learning still, but it's a great way to try to get things out there. I'd like to get into a gallery show, so working on that.
Good. Well,
Yeah,
you certainly could put this YouTube video on your all your different outlets there. So
I will.
yeah, good. Well, Bobbie, thank you so much for your time and for us to get to know you a little better. So at this point, we'll sign off. Thanks, Bobbie.
Well, thank
Bye.
you very much, Mary. It's been
Sure.
a